Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of Official Vintage TV. We've had a lot of recommendations asking for tag guides, so we're going to be doing a sports team tag guide today. We're just going to pick 4 of our favorite tags that which are most common and most popular in the sports team game. And then, yeah, we're just going to show you guys through it. We're going to have 2 parts because there's a whole bunch more sports team tags that we've got to show you. So these are just sort of the most popular ones that you see day to day. So before we get into the tag guide, we're going to be showing you some sort of interesting facts so you get a little bit of knowledge about sports team tags and sports team apparel. But yeah, let's get into it. The 80s and 90s, it was a fight between the sports team apparel brands. So the main sports team apparel brands back then were Starter, Logo 7, Apex 1 and Champion. So those are the 4 main ones. It was just a fight between who would get the official licensing for these teams, because the teams got to choose who their license was. So like if you wanted to be with Logo 7, for example, the team would choose you to be with Logo 7. So for example, say if the Cowboys had to decide between these 4 brands, so they picked Apex 1, which is one of those 4 brands, they would be stuck with the Apex 1 and they would get that contract. So Apex 1 would get that contract, would that be the sports and apparel for the Cowboys. And same thing for sort of Miami Dolphins. So if they decide to pick Logo 7 for an example, that would be with all Logo 7. So that would be their merch, on-field uniform, players, volunteers, all the merch for that as well. So in the 90s, everything changed where the league started allocating the licenses for certain teams. So pretty much the league decided who was with who, and that was pretty much through the 90s, moving into the early 2000s and to now. So we also have a whole bunch of 80s and 90s tags in our store. So if you come through to the store, you'll see the whole range of 80s and 90s tags. But we're going to start moving on to our first tag. We're going to do 4 tags today. We're going to go through them each by each, just tell you a bit of history about each tag. But yeah, let's get started. First tag, let's go. Alrighty, so the first tag we're going to be going through is a Salem tag. This is probably one of my favorite tags. This tag is a nice blue and white color, as you can see there. I'll do a little bit of a zoom up. But this is definitely one of my favorite sports team tees. To give you a little bit of a brief history about Salem, it was started in 1980 by 2 friends, the 2 best mates, and they just pretty much did a 2-day screen printing course on how to screen print, and pretty much from there they were selling t-shirts out of their mum's house in their back porch. Salem are known for their crazy design, so as you can see here, this is a really nice design. They're also known for their bobblehead designs like this. So this is probably one of the earlier 80s ones. Now they've definitely gotten a lot better with the quality of the art and that sort of stuff, but I really like these 80s ones as well. But this is what they got really known for. They'd have whole prints of the whole team with these like bobblehead things, which is cool. We'll put a photo up for you guys as well. But yeah, really cool designs and probably one of the best design sports team apparel tees you're gonna find. 1993, Salem sold their company to Fruit of the Loom, which is another t-shirt manufacturer. They sold the company for $130 million. This is a pretty crazy price. And they sold it to Fruit of the Loom when they had the big licenses for the 4 major sporting leagues. They also had Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, as you can see, under the brand. So they sold to Fruit of the Loom when they had all this good stuff going for them. And that's also what had a massive impact on the cost as well. Also, a massive thing that Salem's known for is direct to consumer. So that'd be, say if something happened during the week, say the Detroit Pistons got in a punch on or something like that, they would make t-shirts pretty much within that week and be selling them to the customer, which is crazy. But in the 90s it was a lot different to how it is now, where you can just get 1,000 tees made really quick. Back then it was a lot harder and they were pretty good at direct to consumer. It's one of my favorite tags and personally probably some of the best designs. We're going to be moving on to the next tag, which is the Logo 7. So founded in the 70s, like most other sporting apparel brands, they started in the colleges first, and then they moved to the 4 major sporting leagues. That's how they built up their brand. But that's pretty much what happened with Logo 7. They had most of the big contracts for most of the sporting leagues as well. So Logo 7 manufactured both clothes and hats. I'll show you guys a tag of a Logo 7 just so you get an idea. This is what the tag looks like. This is their most common tag they use. So in 1992, they sold to Taltex, where they built a sister brand called Logo Athletics, which I get the Logo Athletics for you here. It's a whole different tag. These are the most common 90s ones, which in my opinion made a lot better stuff than the Logo 7 stuff, just because they'd do big embroideries like this. They'd have just better quality stuff, thicker t-shirts. They definitely just felt better, to be honest, and in my opinion, the Logo Athletic stuff boosted their brand right up. So in 1997, the original owners of Logo 7, brought the brand back from Taltex, which they brought it for $100 million, but in the early 2000s ended up going bankrupt and having to sell to Reebok and Adidas. Logo Athletics was probably most known for its snapbacks. As you can see these days, everyone's trying to recreate the Logo Athletics hats and sort of t-shirt designs as well, because their designs are so good. But yeah, that's pretty much everything about Logo 7. Alright, so moving on to our next tag, we're going to be talking about Nutmeg. I'll grab a Nutmeg tag out for you here. So I've got two different variations of the Nutmeg tag. So we got this white one. Oh, we got this gold one, sorry. So that's the first one. Then this is the next one, we got this white one. I love the look of this tag, it's probably one of my favorite looking tags. So Nutmeg has their own distinct style. If you're growing up in the 90s, they had a lot of big designs, as you can see, and very specific designs. So pretty much when you're going through all these sort of sports team tees, say Logo 7 has a specific designs, Starter has different designs, Apex 1 has different designs, but they all sort of stick to their style. As you can see here, they've got a very similar style of tee that they do throughout their whole designs, which is cool. But yeah, most brands sort of stick to their designs and what works for them and what doesn't. So with Nutmeg, it was a bit of a different story with how they got big. It wasn't the same old story with going through all the colleges and then getting the big licenses. They implemented a royalty system, so they obviously started with the colleges like every other brand, but they started with the colleges where they were paying the teams royalties for how many t-shirts they sold, or how many paying players for also how many t-shirts they sold as well. So the players were getting paid, the teams were getting paid, but it was a good scalable business model as well. Suddenly, like big colleges like Florida State, Michigan were pretty much selling tees, sweaters, t-shirts, so they can make their cut of the royalties. So it was definitely a positive thing moving forward for sports apparel stuff. So having the system in place benefited everyone. So from the owners of Nutmeg, to the colleges, to the teams, to the players. It ended up being so big that the NBA offered them a partnership in 1981 as well. So obviously it worked very well. Everyone got a slice of the pie, which is good. That's what I like about their story. So pretty much after signing with the NBA, all the other sporting leagues saw what was happening, and they pretty much got on board as well. And they ended up selling their company for $331 million, which is a crazy amount back then. But yeah, they definitely were above their time in what they were doing, sponsoring athletes and that sort of stuff as well. By the early 2000s, Nutmeg, after it sold, Nutmeg sort of ceased to exist. Pretty cool story of how they got big through the 90s. Definitely my favorite looking tag, and definitely good designs in these ones. Big, bold, and embroidered designs. They used to have like a whole bunch of designs where they'd have screen printing, and then they'd also have some embroidery as well. So they'd have like screen print and the double with the embroidery, which costs a lot more money and a better quality. The last tag for today, we're going to be going through the starter tag. I'll show you what it looks like first. This is the starter tag. So pretty much I'm wearing a starter t-shirt as well. As I was telling you guys before, they do really similar designs. Like this one and that one are two very, very similar designs. Just the way they do it, like a whole lot of detailing in both of these ones. A whole lot of detailing in there, detailing around there, but they're very common. So in the 90s, Starter was probably one of the biggest sporting apparel companies. It was pretty well known for its jackets and its snapbacks. So if you weren't wearing anything Starter from your team, you'd definitely be the odd one out in your group. Everyone would be wearing their snapback mixed with their jacket. But yeah, pretty much there was a whole bunch of stuff going on in the 90s where people were stealing each other's starter jackets. People would be robbing their houses for these starter jackets. That was the decline of starter. Pretty much that was the main reason for their decline. At the time, they were the biggest sporting apparel brand, and the next was Logo 7, which we talked about earlier in the video. So Starter lost a lot of licensing due to companies not wanting to be working with them because of all the stuff that was happening. So this ended up pretty much ruining Starter's name as a brand and as a company, and later selling to Nike in 2004. But that's pretty much our last tag for today. That's 4 of the main tags that are most popular at the moment that people come to the store for. But we're going to be going to do another part 2 for this. We're going to do another 4 or 5 tags. Leave a comment if you want to see a specific tag or if you want us to go into more detail about a certain tag. But yeah, that's pretty much our sports team tag guide part 1. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.